Today, we are jumping into a financial mystery that, honestly, it all starts with one single jaw-dropping number. We're going to be looking at a company called Alita Resources, whose profits, well, they seem to have just vanished into thin air. So, let's get right to it and start with the number that kicked this whole thing off. Okay, first, just take a look at this. For the 6 months ending in December 2023, Alita Resources reported a profit of over $146 million. That's a fantastic result for any company. You'd think they were a picture of perfect health, a real cash-generating machine. So keep that number in your head, 146 million. Now let's fast forward just 1 year. For the exact same 6-month period, but ending in December 2024, their profit was just a little over $2.3 million. I mean, from 146 million all the way down to 2.3 million. That is an absolutely colossal drop. Yeah. That's a 98% collapse in profit. It's the kind of number that sends investors into a panic and has reporters scrambling. So the big question is, how on earth does a company lose $144 million in profit in just 12 months? What happened at Alita Resources? So let's start digging. We really need to look past these crazy headline figures and get to the real story, which, as always, is buried deep in the financial statements. And right away, here's our first major clue. See, to solve this mystery, we don't need to hunt for some catastrophic failure in 2024. The real story, the one event that explains literally everything, actually happened a year earlier, back in 2023. And that brings us right to the heart of it all. A massive, one-off windfall from something accountants call a discontinued operation. Now that might sound dry, but trust me, this is the concept that cracks the entire case wide open. So, what is a discontinued operation? Okay, think of it like this. Your regular paycheck is your continuing income, is what you expect to earn, month after month. But if you sell your house, you get a huge one-time pile of cash. That's not part of your normal income, it's a one-off event. In the business world, it's the exact same idea. And here it is, the smoking gun all laid out in one table. Look at 2023. The company's normal day-to-day business, its continuing operations, it actually lost $4 million. But then, look at the next line. That's the secret. A massive $150 million profit from discontinuing operations. That's the house sale we just talked about. It was a one-time event that created that giant profit. So you see, the money didn't vanish in 2024. The unique event that created it just didn't happen again. So what was that big one-time event? Well, on November 1st, 2023, Alita sold its entire business, the Bald Hill lithium mine. We're talking the corporate equivalent of selling the family house, the car, all the furniture, the whole shebang. It generated a huge one-time payday, and it completely changed what the company is. Which, of course, leads to the next big question. If Alita sold its only mine, what in the world does the company actually do now? What's even left?
Well, they're definitely not mining anything. The new board's priorities are pretty much all administrative and strategic. They're focused on things like restoring compliance, dealing with some complicated old tax issues, talking to their shareholders again, and basically getting the company ready for its next move.
In simple terms, Alita Resources has become what's known in the financial world as a shell company. It's basically a corporate entity that's holding a lot of cash and assets from selling its mine, but it doesn't have an active business. It's kind of like it's in a state of hibernation. But the story is far from over. Just because the mine is gone doesn't mean the problems are. In fact, a new, really high-stakes drama has just started, and it involves a huge chunk of all that cash. So get this, Alita is now in a massive fight with the Australian Taxation Office, the ATO, and the stakes could not be higher. The ATO is claiming a potential liability of over $203 million from the company, all tied to tax assessments from the last few years. That is a gigantic claim. Because of this dispute, a huge part of Alita's cash isn't even theirs to touch. Over $100 million is locked away in what's called an escrow account. This money is essentially frozen, held by a third party, until this massive tax fight is resolved one way or the other. Now, this isn't just some financial headache for them, it's a genuine threat to their existence. It brings up a really critical accounting concept called going concern. That's the basic assumption that a company has enough resources to actually stay in business. With its cash frozen and a potential $203 million bill hanging over its head, Alita's ability to continue as a going concern is under a very serious cloud. But
Alita has a very powerful friend in its corner, and this quote from their report is basically their lifeline. Mineral Resources, or MinRes, who, by the way, is the company that bought the mine, has promised to give Alita the funding it needs to keep the lights on while this whole tax battle plays out. In fact, they've already given them a $2 million loan.
So after solving the mystery of the vanishing profit, we are left with a brand new question. What does the future actually hold for this company that's stuck in hibernation?
The company's situation right now is a total paradox. I mean, on paper, it's rich, sitting on this huge pile of assets from the mine sale. But in reality, its cash is tied up in a legal war, and it doesn't even have an active business. Its future is a completely blank page.
So what's the game plan? Well, it really boils down to 3 critical steps. First, and this is the big one, they have to settle that dispute with the ATO. That's the only way to unlock over $100 million in frozen cash. While they're doing that, they'll lean on that financial safety net from MinRes. And then finally, once the dust settles, they have to find a brand new purpose, a new acquisition, a new project, something to start creating value again. And that's where we leave the story. Alita Resources solved one mystery, only to find itself smack in the middle of another one. So the central question now is this. With a powerful ally like MinRes and a potential 9-figure war chest just waiting if they win their tax battle, can Alita successfully reinvent itself and start a whole new chapter? Or will the complicated legacy of its past and this huge tax dispute be the thing that ultimately defines its future? That is the question the market is waiting to see answered.